Ever wonder what happened when Uncle Phil traded Bel-Air for Compton, or why a future Oscar nominee's first TV lead disappeared without a trace? From a boxing legend's ex-wife seeking redemption to an NBA star's surprise cameo, this forgotten UPN sitcom hid more bizarre secrets than its 40-episode run would suggest, including its own confusion about where it was set. Fact 1. James Avery's post-Uncle Phil career move. When The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air aired its series finale in May of 1996, James Avery said goodbye to the role that had defined his career for 6 years. As Philip Banks, better known as Uncle Phil, Avery had become one of television's most beloved father figures, earning a spot on TV Guide's list of the 50 greatest TV dads of all time. But unlike many actors who take a break after wrapping a long-running series, Avery didn't wait long to return to television. Just 3 months after The Fresh Prince ended, he was back on screen in a leading role on Sparks, which premiered on UPN in August of 1996. The transition was remarkably quick, making Sparks his immediate follow-up project to the iconic NBC sitcom. In Sparks, Avery played Alonzo Sparks, a lawyer running a family law firm with his 2 sons in inner-city Compton. While the character was different from Uncle Phil in many ways, there were some similarities that viewers couldn't help but notice. Both were authority figures trying to guide younger family members, and both were professional men navigating family dynamics. However, Alonzo Sparks was dealing with adult sons as business partners rather than raising teenagers, which gave Avery a chance to explore a different kind of patriarch. The role allowed him to remain in the sitcom world he knew so well, while also showing audiences a different side of his acting range. For fans who had just said goodbye to Uncle Phil, seeing Avery lead another family sitcom so quickly was both comforting and exciting, even if Sparks never reached the same level of success as the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Fact 2. Terrence Howard's big break before the big time. For Terrence Howard, Sparks represented a major career milestone that many people have forgotten about. When he was cast as Greg Sparks, the younger and more conservative of the 2 lawyer brothers, it marked his first leading role in a television series. At the time, Howard was a relatively unknown actor in his late 20s who had appeared in a few films and made guest appearances on shows like Living Single and NYPD Blue, but he had never carried a series as a regular cast member. Playing Greg Sparks for 2 seasons and 40 episodes gave Howard the kind of steady work and exposure that young actors dream about, even if the show itself didn't become a massive hit. The character of Greg was written as the cautious, ethical, and somewhat timid counterpart to his flashy older brother Maxie, and Howard brought a quiet intensity to the role that hinted at the dramatic chops he would later become famous for. Of course, audiences today know Terrence Howard for very different roles. After Sparks ended in 1998, Howard's film career took off in a big way. He delivered a powerful performance in Hustle and Flow in 2005, which earned him an Academy Award nomination for Best Actor. He followed that with memorable roles in Crash, which won Best Picture, and as James Rhodes in the first Iron Man film. Later, he became a household name as Luscious Lion on the hit Fox series Empire. But back in 1996 and 1997, he was simply Greg Sparks, learning his craft on a UPN sitcom that most people have now forgotten existed. Fact 3. The show couldn't decide where it was set. One of the strangest inconsistencies about Sparks is that the show couldn't seem to make up its mind about where the law firm was actually located. If you look at various sources about the series, you'll find conflicting information that makes you wonder if anyone was paying attention during production. The majority of references, including the Wikipedia entry and most fan discussions, state that the Sparks family law firm was located in Compton, California. This made sense thematically, as setting a legal drama comedy in Compton gave the show a specific identity and allowed it to tackle stories about inner-city life and the unique challenges facing families in that community. However, other production materials and archive descriptions tell a different story. Some sources, including certain episode guides and the Internet Archive's collection of the show, specifically list the setting as Los Angeles, California, not Compton. This wasn't just a case of one or two sources getting it wrong. The confusion appeared in multiple official or semi-official places. It's unclear whether this discrepancy came from a change made during development that wasn't properly communicated across all materials, or if different people involved with the show simply had different ideas about where the story took place. Los Angeles is obviously much larger and more general than Compton, which is a specific city within Los Angeles County. The difference matters because Compton has its own distinct identity and cultural significance, especially during the 1990s. For a show that only lasted 2 seasons, this kind of basic continuity error is particularly strange and suggests that perhaps the production was rushed, or that communication between different departments wasn't as strong as it should have been. Fact 4. Robin Givens' comeback. After Tyson's scandal. When Robin Givens signed on to play Wilma Cuthbert in Sparks, she was attempting one of the most difficult things an actor can do: rebuilding a career after becoming tabloid fodder. Just 8 years earlier, in 1988, Givens had been at the center of one of the biggest celebrity scandals of the decade: her brief marriage to heavyweight boxing. Champion Mike Tyson had ended in a very public and messy divorce that dominated headlines and turned public opinion against her. The media dubbed her the most hated woman in America, and she faced particularly harsh criticism within the sports world and the African American community. Accusations flew in both directions, with Givens claiming spousal abuse and Tyson suggesting she had married him for his money. The breaking point came during a joint interview on the news program 2020, where Givens told Barbara Walters that life with Tyson was torture, pure hell, worse than anything I could possibly imagine, while Tyson sat beside her. The divorce was finalized on Valentine's Day in 1989, and despite rumors of a $10 million settlement, Givens later claimed she didn't receive one dime. By the time Sparks came around in 1996, Givens was actively trying to move past the scandal and rebuild her acting career. She had appeared in films like Boomerang with Eddie Murphy and had even posed for Playboy magazine in 1994. Taking a starring role in a sitcom on the new UPN network was a strategic move to return to the kind of work that had made her famous in the first place, particularly her 5-year run on Head of the Class. Unfortunately, Sparks didn't become the career resurgence she hoped for. Fact 5. Created by a sitcom legend. Sparks may not have been a hit, but it certainly wasn't created by an amateur. The show was the brainchild of Ed Weinberger, one of the most successful and decorated television producers in the history of American sitcoms. By the time he created Sparks in 1996, Weinberger had already accumulated an impressive 9 Emmy Awards, 3 Golden Globes, and a Peabody Award. His television pedigree was about as good as it gets. Weinberger had started his career writing for The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson, then moved on to help create and produce some of the most beloved sitcoms of the 70s and 80s. He was part of the team that created Taxi, the critically acclaimed comedy about New York City cab drivers that ran from 1978 to 1983 and won multiple Emmy Awards. Even more significantly, Weinberger co-created The Cosby Show with Bill Cosby, the NBC sitcom that dominated the ratings throughout the 1980s and became one of the most successful shows in television history. He also created other sitcoms including Amen, Dear John, and Baby Talk. Weinberger was even a core member of MTM Enterprises before leaving to form his own production company. For UPN, a network that had only launched in January of 1995 and was struggling to find its identity, landing someone with Weinberger's track record must have seemed like a major coup. The network was hoping his golden touch would help establish UPN as a serious player in the sitcom game. Unfortunately, even Weinberger's experience and Emmy-winning pedigree couldn't overcome the challenges facing Sparks, including UPN's limited reach and the increasingly fragmented television landscape of the late 1990s. Fact 6. MTM's last hurrah. Sparks carried a production credit that represented the end of an era in television history. The show was produced by MTM Enterprises, the legendary production company that had been a powerhouse of quality television for nearly 3 decades. MTM was founded in 1969 by Mary Tyler Moore and her then-husband Grant Tinker, specifically to produce The Mary Tyler Moore Show, and the company's initials literally came from Moore's name. Throughout the 1970s and 1980s, MTM became synonymous with intelligent, well-crafted television. The company produced an incredible lineup of influential shows, including The Bob Newhart Show, WKRP in Cincinnati, Hill Street Blues, and Saint Elsewhere. These weren't just popular shows, they were critically acclaimed series that changed television and won countless Emmy Awards. However, by the time Sparks premiered in 1996, MTM Enterprises was in its final years as an independent production entity. The company had been sold to British broadcaster TVS Entertainment in 1988 for $320 million, and then sold again to International Family Entertainment in 1993. By the mid-1990s, MTM was a shadow of its former self, producing far fewer shows and struggling to recapture its past glory. Sparks was one of the last original series to carry the MTM name. Within a couple of years, MTM Enterprises would essentially cease to exist as an active production company. The rights to its classic shows were eventually absorbed by 20th Television, and today MTM exists primarily as a library of past hits rather than an ongoing production company. So when viewers saw that MTM kitten meowing at the end of Sparks episodes, they were witnessing the final days of one of television's most important production companies. Fact 7. NBA star Jason Kidd played himself. During its 2-season run, Sparks featured a number of celebrity guest stars, but one of the most unexpected was a future Hall of Fame basketball player. Jason Kidd, the point guard who would go on to become one of the greatest passers in NBA history, made a guest appearance on the show playing himself. At the time Kidd appeared on Sparks, he was still early in his professional career. He had entered the NBA in 1994 as the 2nd overall pick in the draft and had just been named Co-Rookie of the Year. By the time he guest starred on Sparks in either 1996 or 1997, Kidd was playing for the Dallas Mavericks and was already establishing himself as one of the league's premier young talents. His appearance fit naturally into the show's premise, since one of the main characters, Maxie Sparks, was portrayed as a lawyer who was always looking for opportunities and clients, including athletes. Having a real NBA player appear as himself added authenticity to storylines about the sports world. At the time, it probably seemed like a minor guest spot, just another athlete making a cameo on a sitcom. But looking back, it's fascinating that this forgotten UPN sitcom featured someone who would go on to have such an illustrious career. After retiring, Kidd was inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame in 2018, won an NBA championship with the Dallas Mavericks, and later became a successful head coach. Few people watching Sparks in the late 1990s would have predicted that the young point guard making a guest appearance would end up as one of the most respected figures in basketball history. Fact 8. Blaxploitation icon Pam Grier. Guest starred among the various guest stars who appeared on Sparks, one name stands out as a true Hollywood legend. Pam Grier, the iconic actress who became the queen of blaxploitation films in the 1970s, appeared in a 1996 episode playing a character named Anita Grayson, though some sources list the character simply as Ms. Grayson. For fans of cinema history, Grier's appearance was a significant get for the show. She had achieved cult status and mainstream recognition for her starring roles in groundbreaking films like Coffee, Foxy Brown, and Jackie Brown, the latter directed by Quentin Tarantino. By the time she appeared on Sparks, Grier was an established icon who represented a particular era of bold, action-oriented filmmaking that featured strong black female leads. Her very presence brought a level of cool credibility to whatever project she joined. Having Grier appear on a sitcom about a family-run law firm in Compton was an interesting casting choice that connected the show to a broader cultural legacy. Throughout her career, Grier had been selective about her television work, preferring roles that had substance. So her decision to guest star on Sparks suggests that she saw something worthwhile in the project or wanted to support the show's predominantly black cast and creative team. The specific details of her episode and what role Ms. Grayson played in the storyline have been lost to time, as episodes of Sparks aren't widely available for viewing today. But for the brief moment she appeared on screen, the show had one of cinema's most magnetic performers, lending her star power to their modest UPN sitcom, even if most viewers probably didn't fully appreciate the significance of her presence. Fact 9. Gimme a Break. Star made an appearance. Another notable guest star who appeared on Sparks was Nell Carter, the powerhouse singer and actress who had starred in her own successful sitcom just a decade earlier. Carter guest starred in an episode where she played Barbara Rogers, the mother of a high school basketball phenom who was being pursued by Maxie Sparks as a potential client. The episode, titled Hoop Schemes, featured Maxie using his charm to try to win over the mother in hopes of representing her son, who appeared destined for the NBA. The role allowed Carter to showcase both her comedic timing and her natural charisma, qualities that had made her a star on Gimme a Break, which ran on NBC from 1981 to 1987. In that show, Carter played Nell Harper, a housekeeper who helps raise 3 girls after their mother dies, and the role earned her 2 Emmy nominations and 2 Golden Globe nominations. By the time she appeared on Sparks in the mid-1990s, Carter was a beloved figure in television comedy, with a career that also included Broadway success and memorable performances in films. Her appearance on Sparks represented the kind of stunt casting that sitcoms often use to generate interest and give viewers a reason to tune in. Having a recognizable star like Nell Carter appear for one episode was a way for the show to attract viewers who remembered her from Gimme a Break and enjoyed her particular brand of comedy. Sadly, Nell Carter passed away in 2003 at the age of 54, making her appearance on Sparks part of the final decade of her career in television and a reminder of her enduring presence in the sitcom world. Fact 10. UPN's reception problem killed its ratings. One of the most frustrating aspects of Sparks' failure had nothing to do with the quality of the show itself, but rather with the limitations of the network that aired it. UPN, which had only launched in January of 1995, suffered from a serious technical problem that plagued many of its shows. The network's broadcast signal was notoriously weak and unreliable in many television markets across the country. This meant that even viewers who wanted to watch UPN programming often struggled to get a clear picture. According to people who watched UPN during this era, the signal could be so fuzzy and poor quality that new episodes of shows looked like old reruns being broadcast from worn-out tapes. The visual quality was degraded to the point where it affected the viewing experience and made UPN feel like a second-rate operation compared to the major networks. For Sparks specifically, this technical limitation was devastating. The show was competing not just against other sitcoms on ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox, but also against the physical difficulty of actually watching it. Viewers who might have been interested in a sitcom starring James Avery and featuring Terrence Howard might have tried the show once, struggled with the poor reception, and simply given up rather than dealing with the frustration of a fuzzy picture week after week. This wasn't just a Sparks problem, it affected many UPN shows during the network's early years. The limited broadcast infrastructure meant that UPN couldn't reach viewers the way established networks could, and the poor signal quality reinforced the perception that UPN was somehow lesser or inferior. For a show that was already facing an uphill battle trying to establish itself, the technical limitations of its home network essentially guaranteed that it would never find the audience it needed to survive. Fact 11. Only 40 episodes in 2 seasons. When most people think of a television show that runs for 2 full seasons, they imagine a fairly substantial body of work. However, Sparks managed to complete its entire 2-season run with exactly 40 episodes total, 20 episodes per season. This is significantly fewer episodes than what was typical for successful sitcoms during the 1990s. For comparison, most network sitcoms at the time aimed for 22 to 24 episodes per season, with some popular shows producing even more. The 20-episode order that Sparks received for each of its seasons suggests that UPN either had limited confidence in the show from the beginning or simply couldn't afford to produce a full traditional season's worth of content. A shorter season order is often a sign that a network is hedging its bets, not fully committing to a show while keeping it around to fill time slots. The difference between 20 and 24 episodes per season might not seem like much, but over 2 seasons it adds up. A show with standard 24-episode seasons would have produced 48 episodes by the end of its second year, giving it 8 more episodes than Sparks actually made. Those additional episodes can make a difference when it comes to syndication potential, as distributors often prefer shows with larger libraries. The 40-episode total also meant less time for the show to find its voice, develop its characters, and build an audience. Sitcoms often improve significantly after their first season as writers figure out what works and actors settle into their roles, but with only 20 episodes per season, Sparks had fewer opportunities to experiment and grow. By the time the show wrapped in March of 1998, its entire legacy consisted of just 40 half-hour episodes. Fact 12. Bel-Air gave it a second life. Even though Sparks was canceled by UPN after 2 seasons and 40 episodes, the show didn't disappear entirely from television screens. Black Entertainment Television, better known as BET, picked up the syndication rights and began airing reruns in the late 1990s. This gave the show an unexpected second life and introduced it to viewers who may have missed it during its original run or who couldn't receive UPN's weak broadcast signal in their area. For many fans who remember Sparks today, they actually discovered it through these BET reruns rather than watching it when it first aired. BET's decision to air Sparks made perfect sense from a programming perspective. The network had a history of acquiring sitcoms with predominantly black casts that had aired on other networks, giving these shows continued exposure and keeping them in circulation. Shows like Living Single, Martin, and the Wayans Bros had all found success in syndication on BET, and the network likely hoped Sparks could serve a similar purpose in their daytime or late-night schedule. The reruns allowed the show to reach an audience that was more naturally aligned with its content, viewers who were specifically seeking out black sitcoms and who didn't mind watching a show that hadn't been a major hit. While the BET airings didn't lead to the show being revived or sparking a major cult following, they did ensure that Sparks didn't fade completely into obscurity immediately after cancellation. People could stumble across it while channel surfing, and the show remained part of the television landscape for at least a few more years, even if it was never going to achieve the kind of syndication success that long-running hits enjoyed. Fact 13. The 3-production company credit. One unusual aspect of Sparks that viewers might not have paid much attention to was the show's complicated production credit. Each episode listed 3 different production companies: the Weinberger Company, MTM Enterprises, and 20th Century Fox Television. This triple credit was uncommon and revealed something about the complex business arrangements that went into making the show happen. The Weinberger Company was Ed Weinberger's own production entity, which made sense since he created the show and served as executive producer. MTM Enterprises was involved because they were co-producing content during their final years of operation, lending their name and resources to help get projects made. 20th Century Fox Television was the studio that actually financed and distributed the show, which gave them ownership of the content. This 3-way split meant that multiple companies had a stake in Sparks, which is typically a sign of a complicated deal made to get a project greenlit. Sometimes these multi-company arrangements happen when a creator has deals with multiple entities, or when a struggling production company like MTM needs a larger studio's support to actually make shows. Having 3 companies involved in production can sometimes create challenges in decision-making, as more stakeholders mean more people who need to approve creative and business choices. It's impossible to know whether this 3-company structure created any behind-the-scenes complications for Sparks, but it certainly made for a crowded credit sequence. For most viewers, these production logos that flashed by at the end of episodes were meaningless, but they told a story about the increasingly complex business side of television production in the 1990s. Fact 14. Never released on DVD. Despite the fact that Sparks featured a beloved cast, including James Avery from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, a young Terrence Howard before he became a major star, and was created by Emmy-winning producer Ed Weinberger, the show has never received an official DVD release. This is particularly frustrating for fans who remember the show fondly and would like to revisit it, or for younger viewers who are curious about this forgotten piece of 1990s television history. The rights to Sparks are owned by 20th Century Fox Television, which became part of Disney when Disney acquired Fox's entertainment assets. With streaming services and physical media releases, there have been countless opportunities over the years to release Sparks to the home video market, but it has never happened. Part of the reason for this is simple economics. DVD and Blu-ray releases cost money to produce, and companies typically only invest in releasing shows that they believe will sell enough copies to justify the expense. A sitcom that only ran for 40 episodes and was never a major hit is considered a risky bet in the home video market. The rise of streaming services offered another potential avenue for Sparks to find an audience, as platforms like Netflix, Hulu, and others have revived interest in many forgotten shows by making them easily accessible. However, Sparks hasn't appeared on any major streaming service either. Fans have been left to search for bootleg recordings on YouTube and file-sharing sites, or to track down old VHS recordings if they want to watch the show again. This lack of official availability has essentially erased Sparks from easy access, making it one of those shows that exists more in memory than in actual viewable form.